Okay, I'm back. I realized though that I have to color hair and clothes before I can do the head swap, so we're going to color up Dahlia's hair, and I'm going to use the warm grays W3, 5, 7, and 9 with a little bit of YG99 at the end because we're sticking with that zombie theme. And I'm just going to start coloring her up. I did, if you're familiar with the Dahlia stamp, I altered her a bit. She had a big flower in her head over here, and I got rid of that with the wipe away technique. I have a video on my YouTube channel that you can check to see that. And then I just drew in, the missing parts. I kind of completed the lines and finished off that side of her face. Okay, and then I'm going to have there's a highlight there because it kind of bumps out, so I'm starting with the lightest. I always do. Some go dark to light, I go light to dark. I just feel I have more control that way. Really is whatever's comfortable for you. I just like, to me, it lets me kind of map out my lightest areas from the get-go. And if I try to do it the other way, I tend to get way too much dark going on in my image. So this is just my process. I'm not Copic certified. Just been doing this coloring for a few years now and teaching myself and being inspired by others and figuring out how they did it. So, okay, W5 is my next. And I just lay that on top and don't go quite as far down. Just getting that color on there. I don't use the W grays for hair often. But I like it with her. It's kind of makes it a brown black, which I thought was kind of dirty, like, crawled out of the grave kind of thing for our little zombie here. Get some shadow there, since we still have our light source coming in from the left. So I'm going to, give her a nice kind of darkness on this side of her body because it's further away from our imagined light source. As is this down here. Get that little bit there. Go all the way, since I'm not sure where the body's going to fall at this point, so it's easiest just to color the hair like it is. Worry about the body once we put it on. Okay. And I'm not worried about smooth blends at this point. It's just getting the color on there. And I'm going in with my W7. Spin the image a bit. I just like pulling the marker towards me when I color as much as possible. So don't be afraid to move your paper if it helps you. Okay. We know back there behind her head it's going to be the darkest because that's actually, back there at the back of her neck once we get the body on. Okay, and just a little bit W9 for our very darkest shadows here. Again, pulling the shadow on this side since our light source is opposite. Get there underneath her neck, where the neck is going to be once she's not a disembodied head anymore. Okay. Alright, and then a little bit here. I don't want to forget that little kind of turn in her hair either. Okay. Looks pretty good. Now I'm going to blend back down with the W's. And this is where I'm going to start blending all those colors together. And just start over top, and I just pull down a little further each time, working towards always that area that I left white at first. Pull up here, pull down here, up here. Always with that natural grain of the hair. Okay. And then we'll go here. Okay. Now W5. And I don't start all the way towards the back. I just kind of in the middle there, working up. Pulling a bit here, pulling up. Just repeating that process again and again. Pulling this way, pulling this way, pulling around back there. Okay. Then my very lightest, the W3. That's just now finishing off where it all kind of meets in the middle. Pulling it here, and here, and that shiny part there, and down here finally. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my YG99, and I'm just hitting the shadows with this, and it's going to darken it up and give it a slightly green cast to go with our kind of spooky Halloween zombie theme that we've got going. Totally optional. You could stop with the W's and be just fine. I just like adding that little bit of green for, it's just a fun little change of pace that I don't usually get to do with a lot of the hair when I'm doing normal characters. So it's just fun to play around. Get that green. It's not easy being green. Okay. Just like that. Looking pretty good. Okay. And now I'm going to hit over that with the W9 a bit, just to reinforce, get it dark again. And this is just that flicking, a quick flicking motion. Turn her around here. Okay. And then you just kind of blend as needed. A little bit of the 7. Wherever you want those shadows to be darker. Give her a nice little bend in her bangs. RW5. Okay. I'm going to let that dry while I turn to hue for a little bit. And then when it is, then I'm going to come in and give her low lights for the big contrast at the end. But for right now, we're going to move on to hue. And I've got a whole different batch of markers for him. I'm going to be using the E43, 44, 87, and the YG 9799. So it's more of a brown hair. And I'm starting with my E43. It's just starting that part right in the middle there, because he's going to have a deep shadow there. He's got kind of a curly hair, so you're just kind of finding the lines, you know, if they dip down, that tends to be an area that you know is going to be further away from the light. If they bend up, they're going to be closer to your light source. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a guide on where you're laying down your color. So see, there's this kind of, the bend kind of dips, so I would hit those anywhere where it bends down. Okay, and then I hit the tips. Let's get that bend there. Okay. Now I'm going to go to my 44, E44. Again, just bringing it up. Hitting those little valleys. Okay. And I'm not being super careful when I'm on these outside edges, because I'm going to be fussy cutting him out. But if you were using an Esty or something, you'd want to be a little bit more careful than I am. Okay, I'm going to take E87. And it's one of the newer colors, and I love it. I hope they continue this color family. It's definitely got a green cast to itself, as you know, as a brown marker. It's got a little bit of a green look to it. So for a lot of things, it's been really cool to have. But this is my first time playing with it in a hair, and I think it will work with the story we're creating with our little zombies here just fine. Okay. Now I'm working back down with the browns, and I'm just pulling there, pull this way, pulling up from these sides. Okay, same here, pull this way, following the grain of the hair, and then up from this one, so they start meeting in that area that I left white, because I want that to be my lightest area of hair. Okay, and then back to our E43. Kind of blend it all together. And if you like to leave, make your hair really glossy, leave more white than I tend to. I just kind of leave little bits and pieces here and there. If you left it closer to something like this, his hair would look a lot shinier. Just, you know, personal preference on that. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with my YG97. And this is another optional part. You don't have to add green. It's just, I'm having fun with these guys, so just going to add some green tones to these shadowed areas. The tips there. And I'm going to go a step darker with the YG99. Just since he's got such a severe part there. Little bit, little bit, little bit. Just a smidge. Okay. Now I'm going to jump back to my browns and pull over those a bit. It's just, yeah, we want it subtle. We don't want it glaring in our face that we've added green there, but it'll definitely influence the overall look at the end. Okay, my 44. And our 43 to kind of blend it all together. Okay. Now we can jump back to Dahlia and just do the finishing touch on her. And all that is taking our W9 and with just the very tip of the pen, I'm just adding in, you know, little strands of hair, and they're going to go all the way across that highlighted area, and that's what's really going to create some depth. The highlights and low light, you know, contrast of highlights and low lights in her hair. And it's just quick little flicks. And then just follow that line that is already given to you. It makes it easier. And you don't need a whole lot. Just kind of laying them in here. Okay. Oops. Well, that's getting cut out anyway. Okay. Not too bad. I think. Let's get that little guy right there. Okay, we're going to call her hair done. And that's the zombie hair on her. And then one last little touch on him with our E87. And it's again just the light little flicks following those lines. And he's a little trickier because he's got so many bends and curves, so you just kind of, you know, you can fake it a little bit and just do your own little wavy lines. But to follow them in general, what's given to you makes it look more realistic. Okay. And you don't have to do every single line, just hitting a few of them. Okay. I'm wondering if he wouldn't benefit from some green strands. Let's try it. It's not going to hurt anything. So just those ones I already did. A little bit of green. Oh yeah, I like that. Coming out over his whole hair. Do it to this side too. Just following those wavy lines, hitting the ends where you want. He's looking very zombie-ish, if you ask me. Okay, so we got our zombie hair done. Now I'm just going to color him up. I probably won't do a video on the hair, but I'll come back with the head swap when I get that ready.